Hello there, my name is Faizan Syed and I'm the Executive Director for the Council on American Islamic Relations based here in St. Louis. This year they have reintroduced another anti-Sharia piece of legislation. For those of you who don't know what anti-Sharia legislation is, they are the brainchild of a man named David Yarshley, and he is a man behind the anti-Sharia movement that we've seen in the last year and this year. And this is a man who has come out and said that Islam is an evil religion, and that blacks are the most murderous people in the world. And he's also come out and said that Islam was born in violence and it will die in that way. And that the Muslim people, those committed to Islam, as we know it today, are our enemies. So this is the type of right-wing person that has come out and said these types of really radical and racist things against the religion of Islam. And he's the brainchild of this movement right now. Last year in the state of Missouri was when they first introduced the anti-Sharia legislation. When it was first introduced into Missouri, it said on the wording that Sharia would not be allowed within the state of Missouri. Obviously, this was so against the First Amendment that didn't pass. So then the authors of that piece of legislation became clever and they said that no foreign law will be allowed within the state of Missouri. And of course, this law also got banned because any business worth its salt does international trading, works with foreign law. So if you don't allow businesses to make deals with one another using other countries' laws or using our law, then obviously business couldn't work as we know it. So that law didn't pass. This year they reintroduced the law and they've twisted the words just a little bit in order to again fool people into passing this piece of legislation. The effects of the bill this year are as followed. That first, this bill bans judicial consideration of any body of law from outside of the United States. That it would severely disrupt the use of various religious laws and foreign laws that are being used for legitimate purposes within the state of Missouri. That under this bill, contractual use of religious law, whether it's Jewish law or Muslim law or Christian law or Catholic law, Hindu law or Sikh law, whatever there is, that those laws or any other religious groups could not be enforced within the state of Missouri. That the validity of marriages, wills, and other contracts based on religion law could be jeopardized, and that these laws are unnecessary. Where in America is Sharia law being implemented by the court? And you find nowhere. Rather, the authors of this type of movement use one case here and there, and then they overblow and exaggerate it, and they, push it on the people that says Sharia law is creeping within the United States. And the man behind that phrase, creeping Sharia, is also David Yarshley. But yet, these laws are unnecessary. There has been no imposition of Sharia or other religious law on U.S. civil law. In cases that involve foreign law, the courts of Missouri already have a system for ruling out provisions that infringe upon the rights of Missouri citizens. This law also has constitutional issues. First, this bill violates the Constitution of Missouri on several counts. A, separation of powers, that the legislative branch, the one who writes laws, cannot tell the judicial branch, the judges and the courts, which laws they may or may not consider. Right? There's a separation of powers. So the legislative branch cannot tell the judicial branch what laws they can or cannot consider. Another violation is the right to contract, to form contractual relationships. That this bill would violate the rights of individuals to freely engage in such activities. Another issue is unequal treatment. That this bill states within it that businesses will not have to follow this laws while normal people have to follow this law. And because the bill exempts various forms of corporation but applies to individuals, it treats persons differently from natural persons. So if you have a business, then you are treated differently than just a normal person, and this is another violation. Difficulties with international contracts. That parties seeking court enforcement of contracts or documents that refer to religious or foreign laws may not be able to enforce that contract if these bills are passed. And one example of this is, of course, adoption. So if you want to adopt somebody, given the crucial role of the state's courts in the proceeding over issues in inter-country adoption, these courts must consider international law. in foreign adoption cases, of course. Failure to do so could spell disaster for children and families. So if this law passes, then the adoption process within the state of Missouri will also be in jeopardy. And not only that, but businesses. So already in this law, it says that businesses are exempt from following the law. But yet, individuals who go into agreements that involve a voluntary waiver of rights or non-disclosure waiver of medical privacy, which is your medical information, would be thrown out if they occur in a foreign context, which means that measures like these cast uncertainty on international business transactions and could also drive away multinational corporations from our state. So these bills are also bad for business. And one thing I'll say in conclusion is that the First Amendment of the United States is not up for vote. It's not up for a referendum as was done in Oklahoma. It doesn't matter how many people they don't like it. It doesn't matter. The First Amendment is solid, it's state, and no matter what people, how many people are opposed to it, no matter how many people don't believe that religious laws cannot be followed by religious communities within the country, it doesn't matter. They exist, and the First Amendment is not up for sale. With CAIR, along with the ACLU, encourage you to call your representatives and tell them to vote no on HB 1512. Thank you very much. My name is Faizan Syed.